Welcome everyone to our Igniting Cultural Capital series in partnership with UBS. As a longtime supporters, many of you guys might know, UBS, you are such an important ally for founders and funders, where culture is definitely key to building, right, inclusive capital ecosystems. And for that, of course, I am grateful. And I want to thank everyone right now for joining us today. And remember that you guys are the key to igniting conversations around the importance of cultural capital, something, of course, that we cannot lose. I'm Corey Hale, the CEO and co-founder of Culture Banks, and we're going to be unpacking the importance of igniting cultural capital within the fintech ecosystem today. But I'd like to start by having Jamie Sears join me. She is the head of Community Impact Americas for UBS, and of course is our partner in this Igniting Cultural Capital series. Jamie, I'm so glad to see you right now. And as we kick off this discussion, I'd love for you to share more about your support of this series and why we're exploring cultural capital and its importance.
Thank you, Corey. We're so thrilled to partner with you and Culture Banks. We've absolutely loved this collaboration that we've had with you for so many years. And I just also want to thank you for being one of our day one supporters, mentors, speakers for UBS Project Entrepreneur. So we go really way back. One of the themes that I really appreciate about our work together is about changing the narrative to shine a light on the trends, experts, and leaders whose stories are undertold, but key to driving innovation in the economy moving forward. And I know you and I have talked a lot about exploring this topic of cultural capital, so I'm so glad that it's the anchor for this series. From an ecosystem point of view, I just think it would be a huge missed opportunity not to recognize and frankly study the incredible influence and intellect and contributions of Black entrepreneurs, investors, and creators who are really igniting innovation in some of the biggest sectors today. So not just, thinking and hearing about the perspectives, but these lived experiences and ideas that they're bringing forward are shaping these sectors. And the founders are really laying groundwork on which so many others continue to build upon. And that to me says a lot about what cultural capital is. So I think the question for all of us as we get into this is, what can we learn and what are the concrete actions that we can be taking to support and really accelerate this work?
Yeah, that's great. Jamie, do you think you can also share a little bit about how UBS is working with entrepreneurs? I mean, I know about the great work you guys do with female founders through Project Entrepreneur, but really the work you're doing to be able to tap into cultural capital in order to really improve and create a more inclusive ecosystem.
Yeah, our purpose at UBS is about reimagining the power of investing and connecting people for a better world. And more specifically in my group, we're really looking to drive inclusive growth for communities not only that have historically been, but continue to be denied truly equitable access to opportunity and capital. And a lot of this is around some of the challenges that women and people of color face. We know that there's incredible talent at the forefront leading and driving the innovation economy. And it's really time for that to be recognized, invested in, commensurate to the talent that exists. And, from a cultural capital standpoint, to give credit where credit is due. Our group really focuses on developing programs and partnerships that center founders who have tremendous potential, but arguably, and the facts bear this out, still face the greatest barriers, as we know. And so our work to level the playing field is really about helping to accelerate the growth of these sectors, of these companies. So even though we've been at this for almost a decade, there's so much more to be done. So we couldn't be more excited to get into this series with you, Corey.
Oh, well, we're definitely excited to be kicking this off. And with that in mind, let's jump right into our very conscious conversation today around igniting cultural capital. We have great panelists for you today, including Natasha Banskapal, who is the co-founder and COO of Vega X Holdings, which is a platform, everyone, that brings investors direct access to actionable indexes and index-driven crypto asset management products that can improve their investment portfolios. Full disclaimer, I did recently sign up, everyone. But if that's not enough, she is also the founder of 2 additional fintech companies focused all around the digitization of financial services, including Dark Matter and Constellation, representing over $7 billion in assets under management with users, get this everyone, from more than 65 countries. And she's doing even more. I know, where does she find all the time? Natasha is a Presidential Innovation Fellow, and she's assigned to the detail for the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and leads the key research initiatives on artificial intelligence. Natasha, we're so glad to have you here. And you're not alone, because we also have one of your investors from Vega X Holdings, William Balvin, who is the general partner at SOSV, the accelerator VC, which is the #3 most active venture capital investors in the world. They have $1.2 billion under management. And over at SOSV, he actually leads the China Accelerator, which is the first accelerator to ever launch in Asia and the only accelerator on the continent to have a unicorn company come through its program. Remember, everyone, those are companies that have $1 billion valuation or more. And that company was BitMEX in fall 2015. He is one of the venture capitalists invested in Natasha's crypto company, Vega X Holdings. Thank you guys both so much for joining us today for this conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have both of you. Natasha, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with you, because the majority of Black female founders, and you are a serial entrepreneur, this is not your first time going out and raising millions of dollars, but they have a very hard time even getting over the $1 million mark. Can you tell us about your path to making Vega X a venture-backed company, along with the super unique and what I consider pretty dope space that Vega X operates in?
Yeah, thanks, Corey. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks for having us. We're thrilled to talk with you and to really kind of share the Vega X story and how we successfully received funding from great VCs like Williams and SOSV. So really, as you said, yeah, it's been difficult as a Black female founder to find funding. But I think half of the battle is being able to network and connect with people that are interested in your space and align with your vision. And that's what we spent a lot of time doing. We spent a lot of time meeting people and making sure we were starting to build our right networks with talking to people who had a vision and appetite for what we were thinking about in digital assets and the future. As you start talking to people, especially in the fintech world, you start to see where they fall. They may fall in this world of very traditional and not necessarily open to the new and open to those technology changes, or they're very much into that and they're really focused on how they kind of can adapt and utilize kind of these new age technologies to do their jobs better or easier, and think about what that means for the future of their businesses. So as we started to talk more with people and started meeting more people that were aligned with our vision of how do we create core fintech solutions to help bring the industry forward, and knowing that we have this world of DeFi and this exciting world of new fintech solutions that everyone's really excited about in crypto. However, there's definitely this middle ground that still needs to be built to connect what the traditional financial services institutions and traditional investors are doing and understanding with what is going to happen in this new age world of digital assets. So what was helpful for us is we were able to find investors like William and SOSV and Artesian who really understood what we were trying to do. So they had this appetite for understanding the vision of where digital assets could go and understanding where they needed to place calculated bets. I think we became a great opportunity for them once we were able to really showcase where we saw the industry going and how we were building tiered solutions to approach that. So like I said, it was very important to think about what the intro level of this industry looks like and what are kind of these steps that we need to build to get people a bit more acclimated and used to operating in this world. And what was helpful for us was building those networks of people that were interested in what we were doing, so that when we were ready to raise capital or when we were ready to start finding those folks, it was easier to reconnect with them. They already knew us, we were on their radar, and now we were finally at the time where we needed help and support. So half of the battle, I think, is networking and meeting those people and making sure you stay connected with those that you think have the same and similar vision as yours.
Well, Natasha, you definitely met the right investor. I mean, if their accelerator, their fund has $1.2 billion in assets under management, there's clearly some capital there to deploy, which, William, I think that's what's so fascinating when it comes down to being able to actually give out that capital. Like, where does that sort of inclusivity lie, especially when you think about the majority of investors typically kind of invest in people who look like them. You all invest, out of Asia, but you're across really globally. But 70% of venture capitalists, well, they happen to be white. Only 26% of them are Asian. And even worse, only 3% of them are Black. Can you just share with our audience today why prioritizing underrepresented founders really creates an untapped market opportunity for the space that you all operate in at SOSV?
Sure. I mean, we're a global investor, so we're a U.S. fund, but a global investor, and I'm based in Asia today in New York. But we're investing in the best entrepreneurs wherever we find them. It's the people who can solve the problems that need solving, and who can take leading edge, cutting edge, sometimes bleeding edge technology, and apply that to these very, very big problems. And that, doesn't really have anything to do with gender or color of skin or sometimes background. It just has to do with their capability and then their passion. And so we look for the best founders to solve these really big problems. Really looking for that background, that experience to bring to these really huge problems. I mean, I think that the opportunity around bringing crypto-based financial products to the market, and it's just not the US, it's just not Korea or China, to the entire world, is a potential huge game changer. Because for the first time ever, somebody who just has a smartphone, might not even have a bank account, can actually access a financial product for the first time. And so that's why we were really excited to back VegaX and work with Natasha.
I love that you talk about the opportunity in crypto, because there's so much talk around it. There's also, a lot of education that still needs to happen for the masses around crypto, which is what I love about VegaX, besides, the super user-friendly platform for everyday retail investors like myself. And Natasha, you are just, I feel like, always on it, always in the sweet spot of fintech, especially when you think about the global fintech blockchain market is expected to reach nearly $24 billion by 2026. That's according to a report published by global industry analysts. What role do you think really cultural capital can play when it comes to making crypto more inclusive, especially as underrepresented groups in the US feel like maybe they don't have access to more traditional financial products?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a great question, because I think it comes down to what I think are the different nuances of this industry now, right? And what we're seeing are a few things. One is we're seeing the emergence of an industry that is very much based on your skill set. And what that means is that there's a huge opportunity for people to learn and start building things and really develop these skill sets that other people don't necessarily have, because they aren't actively living and building in this space, in this crypto or blockchain space. And what that means is it creates very unique opportunities for people to rest on their laurels and to really use their experience as the reason and the way that they're building things, right? And I think that creates a unique opportunity where it isn't necessarily about having to go to an Ivy League school, and it's not necessarily about standard education, but it is this new age education where a lot of these things are solutions that haven't been built yet. So developers are creating things that they don't have a benchmark for, right? So they sometimes have to create brand new solutions here. And a lot of that has to do with just diving in, testing things and seeing if people are using it and how to make it better, right? And I think that that's a unique nuance of this industry, where it's a unique opportunity for people to kind of get in and lead with your own kind of drive and motivation to learn and start carving out a space for yourself. What that also means is it's created a unique opportunity for Black minority founders itself who are leading these companies to really utilize their cultural capital. And what I mean by that is that Black and brown founders tend to make sure that they are building their companies with a lens of minority and talent building. And what I mean by that is that they're focused on making sure that they are hiring, again, people that look like them, people that need these opportunities, people that also have a different way of thinking and coming to the industry. And as more of minority leaders continue to build companies and build organizations in this industry, I think you're going to start to see the cultural capital continue to increase and actually be spread across the industry a bit more, as you're starting to see all of these verticals pop up with different types of leaders and different backgrounds. So people building solutions inherently, particularly as we look at places in Africa who are building solutions for the unbanked. And they're using digital wallets just to do that because they don't necessarily have bank accounts or access to banking infrastructure. Same thing happens in the US. I mean, over 55, 60 million people are noted as banked or underbanked, right? Or unbanked. And that means that they aren't using traditional financial institutions for one reason or another. And crypto and blockchain provide them with this unique opportunity to now figure out how they can be a part of the new age financial system and economy. And you're going to start to see more of these things pop up where they're building solutions for core subsets of people who need them. And that's what we're starting to see. And I think you're going to start to see cultural capital express itself a lot more in those ways as we start to see more solutions for different communities pop up.
Well, Natasha, I definitely hope that that's exactly what we see because it's so desperately needed on the cultural capital side. And William, to me, you have such a bird's eye view because you are investing globally, right? In great founders and great startup companies. In your opinion, is having an inclusive, right, mindset around investing, is that really sort of key to moving the needle and having major success with these founders?
Yeah, I think we're really focused on helping, especially on the consumer side, people who have traditionally been underserved, but the smartphone basically unlocks, technology unlocks a huge opportunity. So we are focused on investing in job space, right? For example, there's a lot of people who are gig working or working from home, and they have a chance to make a living online, not just offline. But then what do they need? They need a place to invest. So we have Vega X bringing that. They need, perhaps credit. And there's so many people who they really can, they might not have an address or they might have difficulty getting a bank account. It's actually really hard to get a bank account, even in the US. So we have credit scoring companies, for example, that are really good at creating credit scores for people who don't fit into the traditional box, right? So we can score them based on their cell phone usage. We can score them based on how they play a game, psychometric test. This really helps unlock services, unlock opportunity for people who traditionally have been underserved. So technology is a great tool. We're using it to invest in, generally lower income or lower middle income in the US and all around the world. And we're bringing the same type of technology to Africa. We just did our first 10 investments in Africa, digitizing, mom and pop shops, those corner stores, providing credit for the first time to a market that doesn't have credit. And you think, Africa, they don't have credit, but as Natasha just said, there's like 20% of the US is underbanked, or 25% of the US is underbanked. So it's not just like an Africa problem or a China problem or an India problem. It's also a US problem.
It definitely is. And I'm glad to hear that you're investing in so many companies globally, especially the ones in Africa, because this is a global problem. And it seems like at SOSV, you guys are tackling this head on by investing in great founders. I have one final question in this Q&A for both of you, which is, what makes you truly optimistic about this space? If it's for you, it's Natasha, crypto, if it's about just investing in diverse founders that really makes you feel like, hey, we're getting something right and perhaps really moving the needle and shifting the paradigm that's kind of already out there to begin with?
Yeah, okay, I'll go first. So I think for me, makes me optimistic is all of the communities popping up. So what we're seeing in crypto, and I think it's crypto and blockchain as a whole, there are always these micro communities of people who would get together, whether it's about talking about the investments, talking about the space, or kind of just, uniquely trolling on each other. So there are always these kind of like small micro communities. But what's happening now is they're getting a bit more formalized. And what you'll hear more about, if you haven't already heard about, is this world of DAOs, DAO. So you'll see that pop up a lot. And that's about autonomous autonomous organizations, where what that really means, decentralized autonomous organizations is what it stands for. And it's about kind of really putting the power back in communities' hands to make decisions, govern, and figure out a structure. So it's almost like mini communities are operating like mini companies or organizations, and they're getting their ethos together, they're getting their kind of like articles of incorporation type thing together. So it's one of these things where we're starting to see more communities pop up specifically for certain uses, whether that be for the minority community, or for building banking solutions, or for creating more NFT-like communities. So we're starting to see this DAO world pop up a lot more. And that leaves me optimistic about this industry, because I think it is a lot of builders taking the next step to take control of what they are passionate about and focusing on how they build with the right people who, like I said, are really connected to their vision and want to make an impact and help. So I'm very optimistic about the community building in this space and what that means for the long-term nature of it as well.
I think for venture capitalists, our role is to bring help and capital to entrepreneurs and help them solve problems or attack opportunities, right? And but usually we say, okay, what problem are you solving, or what's the space that you're going into? Now, the challenge here is that, you know, without a diverse group, you're only going to be solving one group's problems, right? And there's a lot more opportunity beyond that. So our team is quite diverse, and you know, we're living in Asia. You know, we don't have that. You know, we're all in the minority there. But I would say the key goal here is to get you know, the opportunity to solve everyone's problems. And that's what we're really focused on. We're investing in 150 companies a year, so super active. I encourage you all to reach out to me and the rest of our SOSV team. And if you've got a problem that you think you can solve, really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks so much.
All right, look at that. I love that call to action at the end there, William. Well, that definitely wraps up the Q&A portion. And now I just want to do a quick kind of get to know Natasha and William better for myself and for everyone watching right now, which means it is time for our rapid fire question segment. So you all just answer, you know, spit out the first answer that comes to your mind. That's just how it goes. All right, we're going to kick this off, Natasha, with you. What motivates you to keep going and why?
My team and the pace of the industry. So my team, because they're amazing, awesome, and they're all really eager to put up wins. So continuing to be motivated by their energy and their excitement to kind of build is something that keeps me motivated. And the industry, because crypto never sleeps. So you have to be motivated by this industry to stay into it. And it's one of those things where blockchain and crypto are changing and evolving so quickly that it's one of those things you have to keep a pulse on. So the evolving nature of the industry also keeps me on my toes and keeps me motivated.
All right, I like that. William, you're up next for the rapid fire question. Since you work with so many entrepreneurs, what do you think are the 3 skills people need to be successful in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first one is definitely passion. Starting up, you're doing something that you've never done before. Okay. And then you fail at it, and then you fail at it, and then you fail at it, and you keep on failing. And then some people, you know, end up succeeding. But you need passion in order to not give up after these repeated failures. The second thing is really support. So it's very difficult to do this on your own. So we look for teams, you know, co-founders, not single founders, because it's very, very, unless you're Elon Musk, it's very, very, you know, good, a bit hard to be good at everything, right? So you need that sort of a team. And then the third thing is relevant skill set. So you know, there's this sort of myth, I guess, in Silicon Valley where, you know, entrepreneurs need to be young. But the average age of the founders that we're backing is like, I think 37. And we've got co-founders in our portfolio companies that are over 60. So it's not that, you know, experience is required, but having the industry background or understanding is really key in order to change some of these industries that have never changed or are stuck in the past. So in order to create a revolution, you need to understand the system.
I love that you mentioned the age of the founders because that's super duper important. And just to even add to that, William, the average actual entrepreneur age in the US is 40. So the fact that, you guys are investing in the average age is 37, I mean, that makes perfect sense. All right, Natasha, we're back to you. I know that you work a lot of different hours. What time of day would you consider yourself to be most productive?
I'm definitely most productive midnight to 4 a.m. in the East Coast US time. We run a global clock, and I tend to think, our Asia team is up at that time, and we usually have a lot of coordination that needs to happen on that side of things. So it's actually quieter here in the US, but a bit more active on my Slack. So that's kind of prime, I think, getting things done time, 12 to 4.
Well, I can at least attest, I've definitely received emails from Natasha during that time frame. So she is up and for sure working. All right, William, back over to you. What's your favorite life hack that you've kind of used personally to help you get through the day?
I got this little band here. We're not an investor in the company, but it's called Whoop. And it basically, all it does is tell me I need more sleep. Sleep is a weapon. It's actually probably one of the most important things. I am so much more productive and so much easier to work with. My team can tell when I have sleep because my communication style changes significantly. So you don't need a Whoop to go to sleep, but this thing basically reminds me that my heart is beating faster. It means I'm not well rested. If my heart is beating slower, I'm more rested. And so especially in this 24/7. 120%, type of industry. You need to find those secret weapons, and the secret weapon is really sleep.
I mean, that's a weapon that I think we could all use for sure. Natasha, what would you say is the one app you can't live without? What app are you constantly going to?
Unfortunately, I have to say it's Slack. Unfortunately, like a really cool entrepreneur. It has to be. This is it's the lifeline to connecting to everyone at any point in time in our company. So Slack is definitely number one. Instagram and Spotify come close on the top 5, if that helps.
Well, originally I wasn't going to throw this question out to William too, but now I'm intrigued that after he showed us the loop. William, what's the one app you can't live without?
I mean, the interesting thing is that I think most people think that people use email all around the world, right? And actually, no, in Asia, no one uses email. It's messaging. Now, the challenge is that each country uses a different messaging app.
Right.
So I would say messaging is very important. Now, that challenge is I have Slack, I have WeChat, I have Line, I have Kakao, I have Facebook Messenger, I've got Signal, I've got Telegram. People actually still use SMS in some places still.
Sure.
And then, of course, there's WhatsApp. So I would say messaging overall. And if you can reduce the number of messaging clients that you have to use, I highly recommend it. But we run everything on messaging.
All right. No, that makes a perfect sense. I'm going to stay with you, William, for this next one. Yeah. What is the one book that you feel really changed your life, just really opened up your mind?
So this is a weird one, but I think, I used to be a nerdy little kid. Played some sports, but not very well. And I used to read a lot of science fiction. So Neil Stephenson, Snow Crash, science fiction, but now it's reality. So he coined the term, I think, cyberspace. And his books like Snow Crash, predicted a world that we're kind of actually seeing now in terms of just the beginnings of in terms of a metaverse where you have your physical in real life existence, but you also have your digital existence. And sometimes the digital existence starts to replace your physical existence, especially during COVID the last 2 years. I think my record was 17 and a half hours straight of Zoom meetings. Wow. I don't recommend it, by the way. But that really got me excited about technology. I majored in history and government. I'm not an engineer by any means, but that really got me fired up to do what I do today, which is invest in awesome tech-driven startups.
All right. That's fascinating. I actually didn't know that author was the one who coined that term. So look, you learn something every day. We're going to wrap up, though, this rapid fire in the entire session with one final question, because at Culture Banks, we love to leverage business or we love to leverage music to tell business news stories. So I would be remiss if we did not close out with asking both of you all, what song is currently on repeat on your playlist? Natasha?
This is the hardest question of the bunch, I've got to say. I've been agonizing over it. So I came with a short list of two. So one is Nas and Genuine, You Owe Me, is always on repeat on my list. Pursuit of Happiness, Kid Cudi, the remix with Steve Aoki. That's also on my list. And because I'm Caribbean, Lady Saw, Hardcore. Those are kind of my top three. So that's what I narrowed down on. But they are on constant replay, always on my Spotify.
Hey, I love that. William, what are you listening to these days?
So this is really embarrassing since I actually am in the music industry and I helped launch and run Vice Media in China back in the day. But the thing that's on constant repeat is the Planet Money podcast, because I usually listen to podcasts instead of music. So I listen to Planet Money quite a lot. I think it's a nice and light, but also educational. And it is on repeat, although it's a different podcast, every week. So there you go.
All right. I mean, hey, listening to podcasts, that definitely counts. We're still listening stuff. People are always connected to audio more now than perhaps they ever were before. I cannot thank you all both so much for joining us to help us kick off this Igniting Cultural Capital series. And everyone else out there, be sure to check out the piece in Forbes about all the great stuff that they're doing. And we will be back next month with another feature in a different sector. We'll see you all next time.